Witzia says, I'm reading Dennis King's bio of LaRouche comments.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, Dennis King is he was basically a hack for a network that ran a salon that was tied to the Trilateral Commission under a figure by the name of what's his name? It's been a while since I thought about this stuff because I used to be involved with the LaRouche organization as a full-time member, so I would always encounter the slanders, and Dennis King was assigned to write sort of the authoritative gospel of the evils of LaRouche. And he was like, yeah, he was an author, a regular author at High Times magazine, which was a major Rockefeller operation to promote mass drug legalization in the 70s, 80s. And so he was part of that thing. He was brought into these John Train salons. So John Train created a network of salons in the early 80s when LaRouche was becoming a little bit too influential amongst certain policy circles that were being won over to his strategic vision, both within the United States, but also abroad in Mexico and in India. Indira Gandhi had also commissioned him to map out a policy program to fight back against the IMF and World Bank. So did Lopez Portillo of Mexico, who did something similar and brought in LaRouche. You could listen to Portillo's speech at the UN after he was organizing, or he was organized by LaRouche, and he basically calls for a debtor's moratorium to fight back against the vulture funds and IMF, with a positive program to nationalize the privatized petroleum industries and to finance a massive Renaissance program, but that required cooperation amongst other Latin American countries, which unfortunately was sabotaged. Anyway, you could sort of map out a lot of LaRouche's influence during that period that also exposed the entire banking system's control of drugs in the Dope Inc. book that published over 1 million copies and was circulated to policymaking circles around the world. I still know people who have read that book in the 80s. So that was, he also had the America's second most subscribed to science magazine called Fusion Magazine. That's Dope Inc. If people can find it, buy it, own it, read it. You can see why he made the enemies and Kissinger specifically pissed. The actual people that John Train and Dennis King were working with during their crackdown on LaRouche, which went on throughout the 80s, it involved both a propaganda slander campaign on the one hand, but it also involved real intelligence operations on the other. I mentioned Fusion Magazine was the second most subscribed to science magazine in America in the 1980s, which was bringing together all of the leading cutting-edge fusion scientists that had been iced out by this priesthood taking over control of Rockefeller science in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So the greatest minds were all rallying around LaRouche's science magazine. They were speaking at the conferences that he had organized around the world. He was running candidates for office in America that were actually winning, which was also verboten because they weren't vetted by the inner clubs. So that was also a big deal. So I'm saying this just because when you look at what was deployed to run the there was a what do you call it, a criminal. So the FBI and John Train, on top of the propaganda operation and everything else, they were also running a crackdown where the FBI basically raided their offices. Huge hundreds of FBI agents raided the office. It was overseen by the guy in charge was Robert Mueller. That was Robert Mueller's first big hit job. And LaRouche was given 15 years hard labor in prison for a conspiracy to defraud the government. A lot of his leading collaborators were given 80-year sentences, expected to die in hard labor in prisons. It was shut down. And it was crazy because what they did is that the FBI confiscated all of the infrastructure, all of the subscription lists, all of the printing presses that the LaRouche organization had built up. And then they couldn't have any revenue to pay back people who had invested in their political campaigns and in their magazines. So then these people who didn't know why they're not getting their money back were being told by Dennis King and company that you were being defrauded and that's why you're not getting your money back. And they didn't even realize they were giving testimonies to news agencies and to other things saying that, yeah, we got defrauded for my money. But it's well, no, actually the entire infrastructure and printing presses and everything were all confiscated, so they had no more revenue. They were bankrupted, and that's what shut down this Fusion magazine. The Process Church of Final Judgment also plays a key role. So there's a book. Hold on one second, because it's important to me, right? I spent years studying this and mapping out like what is the story. I talked to members who lived through it, who went to prison. I spoke to ex-members, many of them who weren't even friendly to the organization, to get all sides of the picture. So I've done the work. That's the Process Church. The key prosecutors against LaRouche in trial were actually members of the Process Church of Final Judgment, which is a Scientology satanic church, which is kind of ubiquitous today in shaping a lot of the culture and political systems, including military intelligence. I'll just say that. It's tied to Charles Manson too here. 1 second.
Wow. And that's wild thing about the High Times. I didn't know that was like, I know that magazine.
Okay. So I'm saying this partially right now. I'm taking the opportunity because this came up in a recent dispute that surprised me between myself and Courtney Turner, who's been my friend now for a while. And I didn't realize to what degree we had such opposing epistemological methods. I didn't realize it until it kind of came to the surface when she wrote a very lengthy hit piece on LaRouche about a month ago, which involved a lot of Dennis King references and a lot of other things in it that I know, again, because I did the work, are outright lies. However, it's not easy to prove that necessarily in an easy conversation. But all that to say, here's the book I just pulled off my shelf. And this is produced by those members of the LaRouche organization that avoided going to prison in the 90s to present the actual case and the facts available that they were able to pull together of who were the key players, including got their Dennis King on the one side, and you got John Train over there, who's a CIA operative running the Paris Salon Review. Chip Burley is another figure who plays into this salon operation that's proven to have been the organizing thing. It's a really good book. It has a list as well of the various members who went to jail, and also goes through the filings, the individual transcripts of the cases, how the first case in Massachusetts was actually going to get thrown out, and the jury trial, the jury actually admitted that they were going to that the evidence being brought to their attention during the case was so unbelievably fraudulent that they were going to unanimously elect to exonerate LaRouche and company from all accused crimes, except that the judge, who was himself tied to the Process Church of Final Judgment, again, read the book Railroad. You can get it online for free as well, but if you can buy a physical copy to underline, it's also useful. He actually he basically declared the case null and void before the jury could pass their judgment and moved it to Alexandria, which was much more controlled by the CIA at the time, and just streamlined everything so that within like a week and a half or 2 weeks, the gauntlet came down, and evidence that should have been inadmissible was brought in. It was the defendants weren't even allowed to defend themselves in court for some reason. That I forget the details of how that happened, but again, read the book. It's thick. So yeah, Dennis King is pretty connected to very, very dirty operations. And unfortunately, his works, just like, Nicholas Hagar and Francis Yates, he's vetted. And so his works are highly, highly promoted, translated, republished, as far as like LaRouche and the American fascism story that he published, and all of the articles and slanders. And then you got like some ex-members who were basically in the 70s radical Trotskyist Marxists who never really produced any original material. They never did any original creative work or discoveries, but they were there as members. And then when LaRouche made it very clear in the mid to late 70s that Marxism and Trotskyism was no longer going to be tolerated in his organization, and he went to war with the Trotskyists and the Marxists, and making the point as well that most of them were just being funded by the Rockefeller Foundation as controlled opposition anyway. And then he basically adopted an American system reappreciation that he didn't fully understand until the 70s, when it was brought to his attention that there was this American system of political economy that when he discovered it, that became the core focus, is reviving a study of what this was that's been written out of our textbooks. And all of the Marxists who were formerly tolerated were all of a sudden treated like non grata, and they had a big grudge on a big chip on their shoulder. And a lot of them quit in anger, thinking LaRouche was like this sellout CIA agent, because that's what the Marxists were led to believe. Anybody who's promoting saving America is a CIA agent, and attacking, communism has got to be a CIA agent. So they started becoming recruited to a growing roster of former members who started giving testimonies that were then used to say, hey, look, even former members are saying it's evil and a bad thing. So it must be because they were members. And it's like, yeah, but, there's other reasons why people say things that you're ignoring that might involve, them being given incentives, just having infantile grudges, being organized by a higher process that maybe they don't even always understand, maybe. But all that to say, I've spoken to a number of them over the years. And I've tried to do the best that I can to make sense of what the hell happened throughout the 80s, 90s. Where do these scare stories about evil LaRouche come from? And it doesn't add up. What I can say is LaRouche, as a living, thinking human being who chose to use his time in a certain way of making discoveries and sharing the method of how these universal discoveries were made, both in his lifetime, but also rereading the original writings of people who did make discoveries and threaten the control system of the oligarchy. He did more than anybody alive that I know of to really declare a successful cultural war on the oligarchy itself, and made so many enemies who were if they couldn't destroy him physically, they were happy to destroy him by reputation. So character assassination, and there's an art to doing that. So I would suggest go to my book if you want to understand more about LaRouche. There's that book, Railroad, or there's the Science Unshackled book that I wrote back in 2023, which also features my assessment of LaRouche and Plato's method, both in several forms, as well as how this method has been applied to make major breakthroughs in plasma physics and other things that people might not realize. So that's Science Unshackled, Restoring Causality to a World in Chaos, written in 2023 and available. That's it right there. Available on Canadian Patriot Review. And I think that would help as well to answer and clarify some of those questions.